In Module 1, we focused on introducing the field of gerontology, exploring how aging affects individuals and societies, and examining broad frameworks pertinent to gerontological theory and thought, like the demographic transition model and the successful aging paradigm. As we move into Module 2, we'll be shifting our attention specifically to physical aspects related to aging, beginning with the role of biology. Just as social, psychological, and cultural factors shape how people experience aging, biology plays a central role in the physical changes we experience over time. To understand those changes, gerontologists turn to biological theories of aging, frameworks that help explain why and how the body changes as we grow older. In this lecture, we'll focus specifically on biological theories of aging. These theories don't tell us everything about aging, but they offer critical insight into the underlying mechanisms that influence health, physical function, and vulnerability to disease over the life course. We'll be examining other important theories more focused on cognitive functioning and social relationships in old age in later modules. I'll spend it Before diving into specific theories, it's important to pause and consider why biological theories are important to gerontologists, including those not trained in biomedicine and those who do not work directly with older patients. Biological theories of aging help us move beyond just describing age-related changes to explaining why those changes occur. They inform how researchers study aging, how clinicians think about prevention and treatment, and how systems plan for aging populations. From a gerontological perspective, these theories help explain declines in physical resilience, clarify why chronic conditions become more common with age, highlight biological limits to repair and regeneration, and provide insight into why aging trajectories differ across individuals. Importantly, no single biological theory fully explains aging. Aging is complex and multifactorial, and most gerontologists agree that multiple biological processes operate simultaneously, interacting with environmental, behavioral, and social factors. Biological theories of aging are often grouped into two broad categories. The first category includes program theories of aging, which suggest that aging follows a biologically regulated or genetically programmed process. According to these theories, aging occurs because our cells and our bodies have been programmed to do so. The second category includes damage-based theories of aging, also called random error or stochastic theories of aging. These emphasize the accumulation of damage over time as major contributors to aging and eventual death due to internal and external stressors. According to these theories, aging occurs as our cells and our bodies break down through use and through experiencing a variety of internal and external stressors. Of important note is that these categories aren't mutually exclusive. Instead, they offer different lenses for understanding how aging unfolds at the biological level. I'll note here that in this lecture, we'll provide a broad summary of several different theories related to biological aging. Some not covered in your readings, but others which are covered much more extensively in your readings. To fully understand the breadth of work in this area, it's thus important to not only view this lecture, but to also complete the readings for this module. Let's begin with the program theories of aging. Program theories suggest that aging occurs according to a biological timetable. In other words, aging is built into our biology in much the same way that growth and development are. Aging is essentially inevitable based on how our bodies were programmed. It's at least partially regulated by genetics, as are other things like growth and development in earlier life. One example of a program theory of aging is the program longevity theory, which proposes that lifespan is genetically determined. According to this theory, genes regulate not only development and reproduction, but also the pace of aging and eventual death. This idea helps explain why different species have relatively predictable lifespans. There may be outliers, but we generally know what the life expectancy of an animal is based on other comparable animals. hinting that there may be something happening at the genetic level, which helps predetermine longevity. This is also related to what is known as the Gompertz equation, a statistical model which found an association between aging and death rates in populations. The Gompertz equation supposes that as we age, the chance of death increases, thus tangentially supporting program longevity theory and other program theories of aging. Another program theory is telomere theory. At the genetic level, the ends of our chromosomes have protective caps called telomeres. The telomere theory of aging thus argues that as we age, we see a progressive shortening of these telomeres, which triggers cellular senescence. Side note, cellular senescence refers to the process by which cells lose their ability to divide and function effectively, while senescence plays a protective role early in life by preventing damaged cells from proliferating. The accumulation of senescent cells over time actually contributes to tissue dysfunction and chronic inflammation. While it has been hypothesized that telomere shortening can be impacted by environmental stressors, there is also evidence that such shortening is at least partially genetically programmed, hence, why it's considered to be a program theory of aging. Eventually, as telomeres shorten, it leads to cell dysfunction, which then contributes to things like inflammation and disease at the level of the organism. A final program theory is the endocrine theory of aging. This theory focuses on the role of hormones in regulating bodily processes over time. As people age, hormonal changes such as declines in growth hormone, estrogen, or testosterone may contribute to physical aging, including changes in metabolism, muscle mass, and bone density. Given that changes in hormones are somewhat genetically regulated, one can argue that the hormonal changes that impact aging are thus programmed. Together, program theories emphasize aging as a predictable, regulated process influenced by genetics and internal biological systems. Of note is that the listed program theories of aging in this lecture is not an exhaustive list. It provides only a snapshot of what's been proposed. One strength of these theories is that they help explain consistent aging patterns observed across populations and species. However, a major limitation is that they don't fully account for the wide variability we see in how people age, particularly differences shaped by environment, behavior, and social conditions. In contrast, damage-based theories of aging focus on the gradual accumulation of damage to cells, tissues, and systems, or our bodies, over time. One of the earliest and most intuitive damage-based theories is the wear and tear theory. This theory suggests that the body wears down over time due to repeated use and exposure to stress. Just as mechanical parts degrade with use, biological systems experience cumulative strain that eventually impairs function. At its face, this theory seems to make a lot of sense. Just like, say, a car, one would think that constant use over a long period of time would ultimately lead to system failure. However, of note is that wear and tear theory, while easy to grasp, has long been criticized and is not often applied in gerontology. Why? Well, the answer can be seen when we examine the longevity of species and compare biological characteristics like metabolism. Let's take dogs as an example. Smaller dogs tend to have higher metabolisms compared to larger dogs. And since animals with higher metabolisms are converting and expending energy at a more rapid pace, one could argue that smaller dogs are accumulating cellular damage at a higher rate and thus should have lower life expectancies. But in nature, we see that's not the case. Larger dogs tend to have shorter life expectancies compared to smaller dogs. This is just one example of applying the wear and tear theory only to see that the evidence doesn't support it. It fits in some circumstances, but does not explain aging in all contexts. Another influential framework is the free radical theory of aging. This theory proposes that aging results from damage caused by free radicals, unstable molecules produced during normal metabolic processes. Over time, oxidative damage from free radicals can impair cells and tissues, contributing to aging and disease. There's also hormonal stress theory, which is not to be confused with the endocrine theory of aging. Where that theory argues that changes in hormones, which affect aging, are programmed, the hormonal stress theory argues that as we experience stress, we release cortisol, which damages the hypothalamus over time. Eventually, the hypothalamus loses its ability to effectively regulate the body's hormones, leading to dysfunction. In this way, hormonal stress theory is more of a damage-based theory of aging rather than a programmed theory. Finally, we'll mention the cross-linking theory, focusing on changes in proteins and other molecules. According to this theory, cross-links form between molecules over time, making tissues stiffer and less flexible. This process may help explain age-related changes in skin, blood vessels, and connective tissue. Damage-based theories are particularly useful for explaining why aging varies so widely among individuals. Lifestyle factors, environmental exposures, and access to healthcare can all influence the rate at which biological damage accumulates. However, these theories alone do not fully explain why aging follows certain predictable patterns or why organisms age at all, rather than simply experiencing random damage. Now, not all theories of aging fall under the broad categories of either a programmed theory of aging or a damage-based theory of aging. As an example, the theory of antagonistic pleiotropy argues that aging is caused by genes that actually are incredibly beneficial and advantageous in early life, but become detrimental in later life. These genes help to enhance survival at younger ages, but become problems the further we move through the life course. The theory can't really be described as programmed or damage-based, as it aligns much more closely with the tradition of evolutionary biology. So, the main takeaway here is that there are a lot of biological theories of aging, some programmed, some damage-based, some with elements of both traditions, and some with neither. And none of these theories ultimately fully explain biological aging in all its complexity. Thus, rather than viewing programmed and damage-based theories as competing explanations, most gerontologists see them as complementary. Aging is increasingly understood as the result of interactions between genetic programming, cellular and molecular damage, environmental exposures, health behaviors, and social and structural conditions. Biological theories help explain why physical decline occurs, but they do not determine outcomes on their own. This integrated perspective is especially important for understanding disparities in aging. Individuals exposed to greater stress, pollution, poverty, or discrimination may experience accelerated biological aging due to cumulative damage layered on top of genetic processes. This integrated view sets the stage for the next sections of the module, where we'll examine how these biological processes translate into observable age-related changes in the body, and how to distinguish between normal aging and pathological aging. Even for professionals who don't work directly in biomedical research or clinical care, biological theories of aging have practical implications. They help explain why chronic conditions become more common with age, why prevention and health promotion across the life course matter, and why early and sustained interventions can influence aging trajectories. For healthcare administrators and policymakers, understanding biological aging supports better planning for long-term care, chronic disease management, and age-friendly systems. It also reinforces the importance of addressing upstream factors that influence biological aging long before old age begins. To close, biological theories of aging offer essential frameworks for understanding the physical processes that underlie aging. No single theory explains aging completely, but together they help illuminate why bodies change over time and why those changes vary across individuals and populations. In the next lecture, we'll build on these theories by examining age-related changes in the body, looking at how biological aging manifests across different systems and what those changes mean for health and functioning. As you move forward, I encourage you to reflect on this question. Which biological theories seem most relevant to the aging-related challenges you encounter in your professional context? This concludes the first lecture in Module 2. If you have any questions about the material covered in this lecture, please contact your instructor for this course. Thanks for watching. I'll spend it in you. Point to it. You can have it.